Welcome to Balicasag Island, one of the Philippines' most stunning marine sanctuaries. In this episode, I am going deeper into macro photography, exploring vibrant reefs, discovering the tiniest critters, to continue learning about underwater photography and videography. Come dive with me and see why Balicasag is a true underwater paradise. Welcome to Panglao, Bohol. I've been here so many times, I've stopped counting, but if you're familiar with my work, you've seen some of the photos and videos that have been shot here already. Now, before I start sharing about the gear that I'm using, I'm gonna bring you with me by sharing some BTS of the diving site, some of the best in the world actually, to shoot some macro photography around here. But before doing all this, I just wanna share about the place where I'm at now. It's called Villa Sima. It's a friend of mine who just set this up. The type of standing that you don't really find commonly in the Philippines with Airbnb. You don't have that many options. But yeah, if you want to know more about it, there is a link in the description. Now, let's get ready. I'm going to show you the gear that I'm going to be using on this trip to shoot underwater. For this trip, I want to focus on macro photography. I don't necessarily have the right tool for that, not the perfect tools for that. And first, we're going to be talking about the housing. So when I say that I don't have necessarily the perfect tools, is like, for instance, this is like obviously a dome. And when you do macro photography, I don't think dome are necessarily the best tools for that. You probably need like a flat one, but I don't have a flat one that actually allows me to use the 90mm. We're gonna talk about that. It's not big enough. So I need to use the dome for that. But it's gonna be okay. You don't always have access to everything you need. For the housing, I have sea frogs housing. I would say it's probably for like intermediate, mid-level. So if you're switching from, like, let's say a GoPro or DJI Action or Ace Pro or something like that, you probably start with that because it's cheaper and it's easy to use and you can get really good content already with it. But then if you want to step up a little bit more, this is probably a good option. It's, I think it's around 500 USD, something like that for the housing without necessarily counting the dome. This is a little bit more after that. And then you have a few unders and everything. But what I'm trying to say here is that it's good. It's a good piece. This is the one I own. Actually, I own the Sea Frogs. I really like it because first, I trust it. I've been using this brand since probably 2018. Maybe 2018, my very first one. I had a few iterations of this housing for different cameras. I never had a leak. I never really had big issues. And it's super light. And I live in Manila, I live in the Philippines. We don't really have much diving around Manila. We only have really like one main destination where you can go just using your car. So I need to take a plane to most of the destination when I go diving. And having something light, for me, it's super important. It's easy to travel with. I don't have like of course I would love to have these like super expensive stuff that you can trust and they're really nice and everything. And I've been using them, but I haven't really invested in them yet because I'm happy with this. It does the job. And again, I trust it. And another reason I actually got this one is that the cameras I own, this one is the A7 IV. I also have the A7S III when I want to shoot videos. And this housing is good for both bodies. So, which is great because usually one camera, one housing. And now I have two camera, one housing. So I'm also saving money. On that trip, I'm gonna be focusing on taking photos only, which is why I decided to bring with me the A7 IV, which is more like a hybrid slash photo-centric camera with much more megapixels, 33 million megapixels compared to 12 million to the A7S III. And the only lens I actually brought on this trip is the 90mm 2.8 macro from Sony also. The other tool that I brought, light. So when you're shooting macro, you definitely need extra light. It's important, why? Because when you're shooting macro, you need to crank up your aperture at like f8, minimum f8, but probably like even f10, f12, something like that. So you don't have much light anymore coming inside the sensor, so you need to add some extra light. So the one that I'm using is called the V4K from Soup. I don't know how to pronounce it, to be honest with you. I have a couple of them. Would I recommend using this brand or actually this model? To be honest with you, probably not. I bought those a few years ago. I don't know, sometimes they just switch off when you're underwater. And it's like if the battery was empty or something like that, but it's not, and it just doesn't work anymore. And the way to make it work again is kind of like to unplug it and then plug it again. And then it's gonna start again. I have this issue with one of the two lights. I don't have both lights that have this issue, but it's super annoying. It's really annoying when you're like underwater and then all of a sudden your light doesn't work anymore. But I have two of them and I'm usually only using one. So it's kind of like I have a spare during a trip, so I can change it quickly. Now the reason why I bought them also is that I was mostly focusing on video initially. So I was like, okay, I need continuous light and I want two lights. So I have like both sources of light coming from left to right. So I really wanted to have two lights instead of one, and those are actually quite expensive. I mean, underwater lights are expensive, and those are like kind of like entry level. They're not that expensive compared to other options. I think they're around like 400 or 500 USD each. I mean, it's cheap for underwater lights, but it's still like quite a budget. I still had to shed like 1,000 USD just to get two lights, without counting all those different parts and kind of things. Now in retrospect, probably for the same budget, I would probably just take one light just to get like better quality, maybe longer lasting or this kind of stuff. Yeah, not super happy with this, but I mean, I have them now and I mean, they work most of the time, so I'm still gonna use it. And the next one is the Insta360 X4 this time around, just to get some BTS. That's the camera I'm gonna use to show you a little bit what I'm gonna do underwater. So you do need this. I'm quite lucky because, to be honest with you, I forgot the connecting piece between those two. And I called the dive center that I'm gonna show you later. And they do have this missing piece. And this is a point I want to emphasize when shooting underwater. Because I mean, obviously I've been doing it for years now. And a friend of mine told me one day, underwater is a devil's playground. And I could not agree more. And what did she mean by that is that there are so many occasions when something can go wrong with underwater photography or videography. As soon as you forget something or like a little detail that goes off or something, it can just like screw everything up. In all the projects I had when shooting underwater, it's always like you need to have like a checklist of like, okay, this is okay, this is okay, because it's so easy to forget something, especially when you start like having like a complex setup, which will be like, okay, I need to make sure the camera settings are okay, this is okay, I need to connect this here, I need to add the lights, I need to like make sure I don't forget any kind of the settings, make sure everything is okay. So it's kind of like there is a lot to think of, and then on top of that, we're gonna be scuba diving, so you need also to think like, okay, safety first, I need to think about like the scuba stuff and all that. Like I have the like PADI advanced level, but I don't consider myself like a really expert scuba diver or anything like this. I'm much more comfortable free diving and these kind of things. So I still kind of like, you know, make sure that everything is okay, I'm safe, I have my dive master is with me, and it like, you know, there's just so many things to think of. So it can be a little bit overwhelming. But the more you do it, the more I do it, the more comfortable I get, obviously. And yeah, but it's still fun. So now let's get ready and let's go diving. I am now at the Big Blue Diving Center here in Bohol. They've been my go-to guys every single time I come to Bohol to do some scuba diving. I really like the staff, super friendly, professional. I like their amenities, they have a nice boat. The food is good also. And today we're going to Balicasag Island, which is one of the top destinations for diving here in the country, probably in Southeast Asia also. For sure we're going to be seeing a lot of turtles, it's really famous for that. A lot of corals, very vibrant colors, many fishes, maybe reef sharks. If we're lucky, we're going to have maybe a school of jacks or barracuda or these kind of things. We are a group of 10, 12 people maybe. It's just a very short walk from the dive center to the beach where the boat's gonna pick us up now. Alright. Thank you. Hello.
See you again.
See you again, exactly, yes. Nice shades, huh?
Yeah. This is a millennial shade.
It's on construction.
Still an ongoing process.
Yeah.
To start the day before actually setting course towards Balicasag Island, we stop at Danau Wall, one of the many dive sites available around Panglao. Easy to reach, 5 minutes after stepping on the boat, we are already gearing up. The dive begins in the shallow, around 5 to 8 meters. The sandy bottom creates a natural light reflector. I have a big key light with the sun, still coming at an angle because it's only 9 AM, and a softer bounce light coming from the sand below. If you are a freediver and like taking photos or videos of people underwater, this kind of location is like a cheat code to get great colors. Like these examples taken in a dive spot located just a few hundred meters away, offering the same environment. But since today we're more interested in macro, we won't spend too much time at that depth and keep going to the actual wall, dropping to a gentle 12 to 15 meters, perfect even for beginner scuba divers. And our first encounter is a banded sea crate. Famous for its strong venom, this snake in reality is pretty harmless. It's not aggressive and its mouth is so small that it makes it hard for it to actually bite humans. But clearly, we're not going to pet him either. Our first find on the wall itself is the juvenile longhorn cowfish. Easy to recognize thanks to its box-shaped body, long horns and bright colors. It will release toxins in the water if we stress him out too much, so we're just gonna get a couple of pictures and we'll let him chill. A little further we are spotting one of the masters of camouflage, the scorpion fish. They are very venomous, so do not touch their dorsal spine. I found another one later in the dive. I didn't have light anymore, but I was able to get the colors back when editing. If you're interested to learn this, I have tutorials dedicated to that on my channel. We are now leaving the wall to spend some time a little bit deeper on a sandy slope that is actually full of life. And our first guest here is a keeper, the Harlequin ghost pipefish. Not easy to spot with the black body in front of black coral and the backscatters surrounding the place. These little white dots making it look like Christmas. I'm actually probably responsible for this mess with my fins kicking the sand. Definitely something to be more careful of. Every rock down here is like an oasis for dozens of species, like this Lisa's mantis shrimp and its huge eyes, which reminds me a little bit of fly's eyes. Or this peacock mantis shrimp, famous for its extremely strong punch that can hit its prey faster than a bullet. Some species don't need rocks to hide, crawling in the sands like this sea moth or dragonfish, also known as Pegasus because of their distinctive wings reminding us of the mythical winged horse. Notice how I position my light on the side rather than on top of them to create contrast, one side being lit when the other side has more shadows. Here is an example when the light is positioned above it. We can see how the image becomes flat without shadows anymore and less depth. Time to go back up, do our safety stop and finally head towards Balicasag Island for the second dive of the day. Between dives we take what's called a surface interval. It's our chance to rest, rehydrate and let our bodies release nitrogen from the first dive before we go down again. It keeps us safe and gives us time to enjoy a peaceful ride towards Balicasag. Our second dive will happen in one of the most famous spots here, Black Forest. And as soon as we go down, we're greeted by a beautiful green turtle. Balicasag is a marine protected area and is famous to have a huge concentration of turtles. You're basically sure to see many of them when you come here. It's also home to another fan's favorite, the clownfish. This one being a false clownfish actually, because it doesn't have any black lines in between the orange and white color. The anemone in which it's living is venomous. giving him a safe place from predators while he's making sure that the animal stays clean and tidy. It's now time to go a little bit deeper and pay visit to local residents. Black Forest is home to a couple of small black-tip sharks hiding in a crevice. I didn't have the chance to get a really nice picture of them, but it's always cool to see a shark. I'm also really impressed by the soft corals you can find here. Like these very colorful broccoli-looking corals, I'm amazed by the patterns and find it really cool. Our next little friend is the sexy shrimp, recognizable with its characteristic position, but up like if it was twerking. As we're about to end our dive, we are back in the shallow, with more turtles waiting for us. It is time to do our safety stop, go back up and eat our lunch, before getting ready for the third and final dive of our day. Kuya, what do we have for lunch today?
Same but different.
Same but different?
Yesterday chicken boys and today is chicken girls. You know, in Filipino, if you always eat chicken, you can become a lady boy.
A lady boy?
Yeah.
Everybody's starving, and the Filipino staple of grilled chicken and rice with vegetables and soy sauce quickly becomes one of the best dishes you can ask for. It's funny how the simple things fill your belly and heart. We are sharing our experience with fellow divers and slowly get ready for one last round. This time around, our dive site is called Royal Garden. Around 15 meters deep, our dive instructor spot one of the stars of macro photography, but it's surrounded by lionfishes with their venomous dorsal spines, so I'll try to be careful when approaching those super cool looking nudibranches. The green bumps on its back are full of defensive chemical. Few predators dare touching them because of their nasty taste, and it seems like some of them are actually mating. A little bit further, we come across another master of camouflage, a frogfish. This one is actually of a pretty good size. It does swim, but it's often seen using its tiny pectoral fins to walk on the reef. As we keep going down, I come across one of my favorite soft coral, the bubble coral. These bubbles expand during the day to capture more light to help them with photosynthesis. It's time to slowly go back up. As we come back towards the shallow area with sandy bottom, I line up one last shot with this school of fishes looking like a hovering squadron. I particularly like the composition of this photo with a lot of depth, blurry soft coral in the foreground and a deep blurry background thanks to the angle I was able to get. I avoid shooting from top to bottom, but I'd rather position myself in order to get a deep background with my subjects in focus in the middle. With the end of the third dive, I think we can fairly say that Balicasag delivered once again.